We're in Greenwich today at a former hair salon that actually went into auction by receivers. Now, apparently the previous owner owed a huge amount of debt and actually ended up going to jail. Now, this site is a perfect example of what you can actually do with commercial or residential. But before we dive into all of that, Miriam, thanks for having us. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about this site?
Of course. Thank you so much for coming here. I know it's a trek from West London. I know I got lost and made you wait 5 minutes, 30 minutes. I came across this HMO around 1.5 years ago, and it was undervalued. And they didn't tell you at the beginning, but it was because of this hairdressing salon that was attached to it and a legal dispute around the basement. So the leasehold to the hairdressing salon shows a basement, but it doesn't show you any access. You have to go through the HMO to access the basement. And so the owners of the HMO said, well, if you can only access it through our HMO, therefore you don't own it, it's ours. And there was a long dispute around this basement that went years and years. Now, the owner of the hairdressing salon, he owed a lot of debt and he went to prison, and the owner and the debt recovery team took over their properties and tried to sell them, but it's difficult to sell it on without telling any potential buyer that there's a legal dispute. So when I bought it, I put aside 100,000 because I knew that the quickest and easiest way to solve this is if somebody bought the whole thing and just canceled the leasehold and made it all freehold. And that's what I set out to do. It's not as easy as that sounds, though.
Okay, now, with the site, how did you get all these issues raised and let other potential buyers know about it?
So I offered to buy it, and they didn't want to sell it to me because I was making really, really low offers because I wanted it cheap, you know, I didn't want to pay too much for it. So they kept rejecting my offers, and then it went to auction, and they didn't tell me that they sold it, which is a big no-no because you have to let the freeholder know. There was already so many legal disputes attached to it. Selling it without informing me was like the last thing that I could hold against them. So the new owners, when they bought it and they realized all of the problems with it, they immediately knew that they had to sell it because you'll see that it's integrated into my HMO. So they applied for planning permission to convert it into a 1-bedroom flat, and they tried to sell it on auction. Again, I made an offer and it was rejected. So I started sending them letters of claim because I know that legally, if you send someone a letter of claim, they have to disclose it in the auction pack. And they were hosting viewings in the garden where we stand now. That was never involved, never part of the hairdressing salon or the shop. So they were trespassing, they hadn't paid ground rent, the property was in a state of disrepair, they'd violated the lease, and they changed the use. So I was like firing out those letters of claim, and I called the auction company. I was like, you have to disclose this, and I'm gonna sue whoever buys it. And when it came to auction, nobody wanted to bid on it because I'd kicked up this huge fuss. And then I bought it for 97,000, so they should have accepted my offer.
So how much was this up for in auction?
It was up for, I think, offers over 80. Yeah, offers over 80 or 85. And it was me and this one other person, and I offered them 100,000 before, and they kept rejecting it. And to be honest with you, my budget was 150 because I knew that once I bought it and I canceled the lease, as a 1-bedroom flat in Greenwich, they can go for like 350 plus. But I wasn't gonna tell them that. I kept that information to myself.
Now, Miriam, this site is obviously a commercial, so when you actually looked at purchasing this, did you actually know what you could do with this?
Yes, the first time, but when it got sold on without my knowledge, they then applied for planning permission to convert it into a 1-bedroom flat. So they did all the dirty work for me. The problem is the floor plan that they drew up is a disaster. Like, whoever made it has never visited the property. I was gonna cry. And I sent so many emails to the architects to see how I could change it without having to reapply. But it's so bad that I have to reapply to the council to change it. So I'm stuck with this floor plan, but it's okay because I'm really creative, so I'm gonna make it work.
Now, I had a quick look at these floor plans, and it looks like it's actually being passed using Class MA. And I understand one of the aspects is the right for natural light. So the bedroom is going to be facing the high street, and the reason is that actually has the most natural light. And towards the rear, you're going to have the kitchen in an open plan living area, and in the middle where there is no light, the architects actually put the bathroom
right on top of the basement.
Yeah, right on top of the basement, and you've modified the plans just slightly because the access to the basement was via the bathroom. Is that correct?
Yeah, so like you go through the bathroom and then you go into the basement. It's amazing. So creative. Never seen anything like it.
Do you have any plans for what you're going to do with the basement?
Yes. Oh, the basement, so the one that's been disputed over, I rented that out a long time ago. I was like, sue me, take me to court. There's already somebody in there.
Okay.
But the Airbnb comes with a basement itself. And that's a bit of a weird one because they haven't acknowledged that it exists. So they've put like these stairs in the bathroom without acknowledging that there's this huge basement down there. So I'm just gonna turn it into like a study or a storage.
That makes sense. And with basements, especially in large parts of London, they tend to suffer from damp. Is it quite dry down there, or do you need to do some works to actually ensure that there's no moisture coming through?
So far, considering it's been abandoned for that many years, it's actually really dry, but we're still going to do all the damp proofing and all of the works because I already have a team in there. So just to be on the safe side, definitely.
One thing is, I actually hate basements. I was telling Ronnie and Miriam earlier, the last time I visited a basement of an abandoned building, it was full of dead rats. I'll give it a miss on inspecting this one. Now, when we're actually walking down the high street here, what we noticed was there's actually quite a lot of empty shops and buildings in need of renovation. So what idea did you have when you looked at this particular site, and what are you going to do once it's finished?
Where we are right now, we are literally on the border between a really, really nice luxurious area and the ghetto. And you can literally like feel it as you walk through. 10-minute walk to our left and you're in the Greenwich village and the houses are worth $1 million plus and it's really nice. And then like 15-minute walk that way and it's like top boy. East London prep. So there's a lot of potential here, I think anyways, just because of your location to the left amenities. I'm turning into an Airbnb, so anybody that wants to go to the touristic areas of London, this is a perfect location. Also, you're 20 minutes from Canary Wharf, which means a lot of my residents are actually professionals.
So Miriam, this is the former shop front. You can see the shutter right there. You can see the high ceilings. So what is this room going to be?
This is going to be the bedroom. And the fun thing about working with a former hairdressing salon or shop is that the floor plan is so unorthodox, you end up with really unique bedrooms that you don't usually find in other places. And it becomes great to Airbnb because you can say it's tailored, bespoke, you know, you can make it all pretty. And that's what we get here. We have this weird kind of ceiling shape. I'm going to put a big chandelier here, and then maybe it will distract them from the noise outside.
That's true.
It's really loud.
What type of glazing are you going to have?
I'm going to put triple glazing, and then I might do 2 of those. I don't even know. It's like you can feel the ground shake.
There's one thing about working with commercial that you're going to bespoke change to residential is you can actually get very creative with the whole thing. And you can make something where you feel you've actually put your personal touch to. Is that something that you feel with this one?
Yes, my favorite part of property renovation is the design aspect. And I love a design challenge like this because that's what I see it as. How can I make this pretty? How can I make this something that people want to live in? And for me, because it's going to be an Airbnb and I have a lot of friends that live abroad, I know it's somewhere that they're going to stay. So I have them in mind as well. And I'm really, really trying to make it nice for them. Even though it's really loud.
Come, let's have a look at other parts of the building. When it comes to zoning, I know this back end of the property is probably the least worth when it comes to commercial, and it's probably primed to be converted to residential use because you actually double or triple the value of this space. So now, where are we actually standing and what is this going to be afterwards?
Okay, y'all have to use your imagination because this is the living room. That's going to be the kitchen. I'm going to put a sofa bed here so 2 people can stay here. And we're thinking potentially we could cut this and make another bedroom in the back. But we have to do some more research about whether we can do that because we want to Airbnb it and make it safe for people. And we have a bathroom in the back. And here we have another bathroom, and we're going to talk about the use of space because when you're dealing with a commercial, it wasn't built for people to live in. And so you have these awkward corners that you're going to have to work with to make it habitable. Is that a word?
I see that you got like a lot of these voids which are previously being used for storage. Are you going to sort of dig into them because they sound like hollow and there's probably quite a lot of space there? So leave them behind here.
This is hollow? I thought this was a chimney.
No, I'm pretty sure it's hollow.
I thought I couldn't take this out without... Oh, this is cool, by the way. This is a safe.
Ah.
that's been
So
like...
that explains why it's sort of, this comes forward.
They built in a safe because they were in the ghetto. to keep their stuff safe.
You have a commercial business, and especially if you're dealing with a lot of cash, safes were something that you actually needed a lot of. Obviously, this is now more or less disappeared with the rise of cashless society that we're sort of heading towards, and everything is contactless, so you don't really need a safe. I don't think many businesses actually handle cash. So yeah, this is something that I'm sure you could do without. Unless, are you looking to keep that as a feature?
I think I'm gonna have to, because we can't get rid of it.
So Miriam, let's dive into what people want to know. What are the numbers on this? What did you purchase this for? What are you spending on it, and what's it potentially going to be worth?
I bought it for $97,000. I'm spending around 35 to 45, so not a lot considering we're completely ripping everything out, and I'm gonna make it really pretty. But that's because I've known my builder for over 10 years, so he works with me, which is great because I have a new idea every single day, and I need somebody who's gonna be like nice with my new ideas. And it should be valued for no less than $350,000 because it's not even a 1-bedroom flat. It's like secretly a 2-3-bedroom flat, and it's 10 minutes walk from Greenwich, and that's how much they retail for here. At Airbnb, it can achieve at least £200 a night. Wow. I'm seeing them go up to 250, 280, but I'm gonna put at 200 just to start with, because I was bad. So just so I get the reviews in. And if I were to rent it as a 1-bedroom self-contained flat, I think it could go up over $2,000, but I haven't explored that much because I really want to do the Airbnb route with it being such a touristic place.
And there's been some changes with the short-term rental market in terms of planning. So is this something that you need to now address?
Yeah, so you can only rent it short-term for 3 months, and then you need planning permission. And it's not as simple as just, a HMO license where you're filling in a application and you're attaching all of your certificates. You actually need a floor plan and an architect, and it can cost you like $1,800 just to have somebody submit that. But once you get it, you're done. It's okay. And that's because they changed the use in the land registry from residential to short-term lets. And Airbnb will automatically kind of ban your account after 3 months.
So something to bear in mind. So if you're operating with short-term rentals within London, there is a 90-day limit to what you can actually do. But obviously, if you move out to the outskirts of London, then you can actually capitalize on short-term lets. Do you think this will be something for the Property Investor Awards? I know you from looking at your application and being a finalist at last year's awards.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would love the recognition on this deal. I worked really hard on it. We spent a lot of time and effort on it. And I think if you're making $250,000 on any deal, it's amazing, but especially if you've only spent 97 to 130 on it, which is what we've done. And in the end, we get to make something really nice for people to live in, and we get to pull the money out and then put it somewhere else and to continue doing the good work. So I'm really hoping that, this is one for the PIB Awards. And if it ain't, you show me somebody else who makes $250,000 on a deal.
Now, Miriam, that's actually been amazing. Thanks for having us. Hope you enjoyed that video. If you have, hit that bell icon, subscribe, leave a comment, and we'll be back very shortly with another video.